What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Brogcast. Man, it has been a minute since I've done an episode. I've been very busy with life recently. I've been grinding it out at work, I've been doing music, and I've also been doing more fitness to try to keep myself healthy. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to prepare, record, and edit an episode. There's a lot of preparation that goes into making an episode. I have to do a lot of note taking and I have to sort of like plan it in my head before I record. And then there's also the recording process, which sometimes can take a few takes because I either lose track of what I'm trying to say, because that's my ADHD brain, or I fumble my words and I have to start over. So yeah, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. There's the actual recording, and then the editing is another thing. The editing isn't so bad because all I have to really do there is kind of scan through the recording and cut it up and edit it to make sure it's all smooth. That part's not so bad. It's mainly the preparation and the recording that's the hardest part of doing the podcast. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I haven't really had the free time to do it, but I am so glad to be back with you guys today doing an episode. So I have a few questions to answer for you guys. The first one is, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? There are a lot of places in the world that I would like to visit and experience, but if I had to narrow it down to a place that I would like to live, it would probably be Nova Scotia, Canada. I don't know if I would want to live there right now because they're either having a hurricane or just got finished having a hurricane. So it's pretty gnarly up there. So I don't know if I would want to live there right now. But without a hurricane or any other natural disasters, yeah, I would love to live in Nova Scotia. People there are really nice. Canada treats their people well. And there's just a lot of beautiful scenery up there. And also, I know of somebody who lives in Nova Scotia, and that is Frankie McDonald. In my opinion, the best weatherman out there. A few years ago, he predicted the heat wave that hit my state back in 2021, months before it happened. He was way ahead of the game. And not a whole lot of people were talking about a heat wave coming until a few days before it actually happened. But Frankie McDonald, predicted it months ahead. And there have been many instances where he just accurately predicts a natural disaster and he gets it right. And I don't know what type of research he does, but he is a great weatherman, and he is my number one source for any types of natural disasters or weather reports because he's just a master. And one crazy thing is, he actually followed me on Twitter. I couldn't believe it. I was on Twitter, I guess you'd call it X, formerly known as Twitter. I got a notification saying that he followed me, and I couldn't believe it. And I looked, and sure enough, he followed me. He follows a lot of people on Instagram, and I was so flattered and so starstruck that he followed me because I'm a big Frankie McDonald fan. Best weatherman in the whole world. No doubt about that. I kind of got off track. Sorry, guys. I got kind of off track and started talking about Frankie McDonald. But yeah, to stick to my point, I would love to live in Nova Scotia. Such a beautiful place. Lots of nice people there. It seems like a great place to live. Next question is, if you could have coffee with any historical figure, who would you choose? Now, the guy that I picked might not seem like a historical figure because he's not who you would think of as a historical figure. You may think of historical figures like Albert Einstein or Isaac Newton, or maybe a politician like Abraham Lincoln or JFK, people like that. But I think this person is a big piece of history, more specifically music history, and that is John Bonham. For those of you who don't know who John Bonham is, and if you don't, you're probably living under a rock, but he was the drummer for Led Zeppelin. absolute beast on the drums, absolute genius. I would just love to sit there and talk with him and just sort of pick his brain. And I would love to just hang out with him and get to know him. I would love to have coffee with John Bonham. That would just that would be life changing. Next question is, what was your favorite subject in school? So for those who know me, this is pretty much a no-brainer. You guys know what I'm going to say. But my favorite subject in school was band. I'm a music snob through and through. I'm a drummer through and through. And I've always been super passionate about music. Band is my number one favorite subject in school. Now, there have been a few years where I would like different subjects, like it'd be math or science or Spanish, because there were certain teachers who made the subject fun and engaging, and most of the time, schoolwork would just be boring and uninteresting, and I just wouldn't focus on it, and it just wasn't fun. But there are a few instances where teachers would make it fun to learn math, fun to learn science, fun to learn English, and things like that. But the one subject constantly that was my favorite through all my years of school was definitely band. Some of my favorite memories with band would be we would play at football games, at basketball games, and those were my favorite because it was kind of freelance. It was different than the type of music we would play in class or play at like school performances. We would get to play fun songs. Like we would get to play classic rock songs and new pop songs instead of the I don't know the classical stuff. There's nothing wrong with that, but it was kind of a little boring playing that type of music. I would love going to the pep band games and playing my main song was the Final Countdown by Europe. That was my favorite song to play, and I would just that's another thing I liked about playing at these pep band games and playing this type of music is there wasn't any restrictions on it. If I was playing some sort of classical music in class, I would really have to read the notes and play it note for note, which I wasn't all that great at because I really don't know how to read sheet music very well. I probably know how to read sheet music at like a fifth or sixth grade level. I know that's really sad. But I thrive in playing music where I can just be free and play the song by feel. And that's one of the reasons why I loved playing at these pep band games. Because these pop songs and classic rock songs and jazz songs that we would play, it was all freelance. Now there was one school performance where I didn't really have to read the sheet music and I can just go crazy. Was at our spring fling event, my senior year. I got to play all of the jazz songs that we were doing, and I got to play freelance a little bit. There was one song that I did. I actually got a drum solo, which was kind of unheard of for me because the music teacher that I had prior to the music teacher I had during my senior year, there was a drummer that was a step above from me, and I'll be honest, was a little bit better than me. So he got all of the solos, and I never did for my first 3 years of high school. But on my senior year of high school, we had a new band teacher, and man, I'm not gonna dox him. I'm not gonna say who it is, but you know who you are. Amazing band teacher, super cool, just a really great guy, and he understood me. Most of my music teachers throughout my school tenure didn't really understand the way that I play. He understood that I play music by feel. I really don't read sheet music because I'm not skilled at that. And the way that I like to play is 100% by feel. I'll listen to a song and I just pick it up and I'm like, okay, this is what fits here in the song. This awesome band teacher gave me the chance to have a solo during this jazz song, And there's a video floating around somewhere. I think it's on Facebook, so I won't be able to put it here. But I got to have a solo during this jazz song, and it was so much fun. That was a great night. It wasn't just that song, but that whole night of, or I guess it was 2 nights, because we did the Spring Fling performance twice. That's how they did things, and I just loved being able to play those jazz songs and getting to just play by feel and just have fun. Because like I said, the school performances that I did prior to that, it was all sheet music, and I really had to study these songs, and I had to just play by the sheet music, which, like I said, I couldn't really do in the first place. So I really had to listen to the songs over and over again, or sometimes look them up on YouTube to find out exactly how they were played. These pep band songs and the jazz songs really gave me a chance to just freelance and just play how I wanted to play it and play it by feel. And that was just so much fun. So, band, absolutely number one favorite subject in school. So, the next question is, what was your favorite trip you've ever taken? Now, I'm going to kind of dox myself a little bit here, but my favorite trip was going to Hood River here in Oregon. What I liked most about that trip was the scenery. Me and my girlfriend at the time, we went up to Hood River, and we went to this. We were coming down the highway, and there was this there was a little pit stop, and we stopped there, and you could just see the mountains, the water, the sky, the open sky, the clouds. It was such an amazing view. And there was a little sign there that talked about Hood River and the history of it, and that was cool too, but mainly the scenery. And the highway that runs through Hood River is really long. So as you're driving, you get to experience the scenery. And it's just beautiful. I would definitely go up there again once I have the chance. The next question is, what star sign are you? I am a Leo. And I don't really get into these astrological signs. I think they're pseudoscience. But they are a little bit fun to learn about, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a fun thing to mess around with. I am a Leo. I was born in August. I recently had a birthday in August. My birthday is on the 15th. So I am a Leo. And I don't know what it is about Leos, but people just love to talk massive smack about Leos. I don't know what all the hate's about. Like, every time I see something about a Leo, it's always negative stuff. I don't get it, man. Yeah, I don't really get into astrological signs, but they are kind of fun to mess around with, and yeah. So I'm a Leo. What is your personality type? So my personality type is INFP. It's been a long time since I've read about my personality type, but the essence of my personality type is I'm very reserved when it comes to most things, but I stand very firmly on my beliefs, my morals, and my ethics. And that is very true. I'm pretty introverted most of the time. Whether that be in public or at work, I'm pretty introverted most of the time. That is unless I'm at a party with my friends or I'm with somebody who I'm super comfortable with, then I'm a little extroverted, but in most cases, I'm introverted. So yes, I do stand very firmly on my morals, my beliefs, and my ethics. The biggest moral belief for me when it comes to life is being kind to people. I'm always kind to everybody, no matter how they treat me. And I think that's how we should treat people. I think everyone should be kind and nice to each other. And you may say, Jonathan, what if someone's real nasty to me? And I'm like, yeah, that's not okay. But it's always good to try to spread that positive energy no matter where you are or who you interact with. So yes, that is my big moral belief, being kind to people. And so I think INFP is a pretty accurate personality type for me. Next question is, are you an introvert or an extrovert? I already kind of expanded on that, but I guess I'll go a little more in depth. So I am an introvert in most cases. I am very shy, very reserved, even at work. Like, there are a few coworkers that I get pretty extroverted with, but I don't really initiate conversation that much at work. Same thing in public. Unless it's someone I really know and who I'm comfortable with, then yeah, I'll gab a little bit. But I'm not really the type to go up to somebody and start talking unless I'm really comfortable with them. Yeah, if I'm new with people, if I just met them, um, even if I try to meet them, because sometimes I don't like, I don't know, I don't know most of my coworkers. Like I just don't initiate conversation most of the time. But there are a few coworkers who I actually get extroverted with and talk to. And when I'm with my friends, oh yeah, I'm hella extroverted in that case. But in most cases, I'm an introvert, I'm very shy and reserved. Next question is, if you won $10 million tomorrow, what would you spend it on? So what I would do with $10 million, I would take a small portion of that, buy a house, buy a car, just a small portion of the 10 million. I'm not going to blow it all. And then I'll just save it. I'll just save it and then maybe donate to a charity or help my family out if they need my help financially. Next is, what is your biggest pet peeve? My biggest pet peeve is when people lick their fingers while they're reading a book or if they're opening like a paper packet. I hate seeing that. It's like you are putting your germs on a page and then potentially someone else is going to pick that up and skim through it and then their fingers are going to touch your saliva. I mean it's probably not that big of a deal. I'm probably being too over dramatic about it, but when I think about that, like when I think about someone's saliva being on a page or on a book that someone is eventually going to pick up, it just disgusts me. I hate seeing that. Next is, what do you think the world will look like in 50 years? So I'm going to take the optimistic route on this one and say that in 50 years, we'll have everything figured out. And the biggest one being our planet. Our planet is having multiple natural disasters almost every week now. Almost every week I look on my news app or I look on Instagram. Shout out to Frankie McDonald again. There's always natural disasters. And I hope we can figure this stuff out before our planet just implodes. So I'm going to take the optimistic route and say that we figure that out in 50 years from now, and our planet is thriving in 50 years. That's the route I'm going to go with this. Next is, if you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? And I've talked about this food on previous podcasts, but my favorite food that I would eat every single day of my life are buffalo wings. I love buffalo wings. I could eat them every meal. It's probably not a good idea health wise, but if there were no health consequences, I would eat buffalo wings for every meal every single day, and I would never get tired of it. So tasty. Next is, what would be the title of the book about you if your worst enemy wrote it? I would say the title would be Narcissist. There are a few people out there, I wouldn't consider them my enemies because I'm a bigger person than that, but the people who don't like me probably see me as a narcissist, and I've kind of dabbled into this a little bit. I think it was the last episode when I talked about this. People don't think I care about others, they think I care about myself. And the people who don't think that are people that really, really know me. And the people who are my enemies, or I should say the people who don't like me, in my eyes, I don't have enemies. I just have people who don't like me. And the people who don't like me don't know me that well. The people who like me see who I am as a person. One of my friends said on their podcast that I'm a sweetheart, and I am. I'm really sensitive and compassionate towards people, and I care a lot about people. But yeah, the people who don't like me would say that I'm a narcissist, and that's what they would title their book about me. Last but not least, this question says, what is your favorite color and what does it say about you? My favorite color is green. I might have mentioned this already in one of my podcasts that my favorite color is green. And I don't think there's any ties to that. I don't think that it represents who I am as a person. I just think green's a cool color. But if I had to like think about it for a little bit, maybe it's because I like nature. I love being in nature. I'm very blessed to have a lot of trees where I live, a lot of animals in nature, and I really like to go outside and just experience nature, get a good deep breath of that fresh air and look around and just see the beauty. Maybe that's why I like green, because of my ties to nature. All right, y'all, that does it for this episode of the Brogcast. I'm gonna have a lot of fun editing this one because there are a lot of fumbles and a lot of mistakes in this episode. So, well, let's see. On the recording, we're at 32 minutes, and I bet you this episode's gotta be like 20 minutes with all the fumbles and stuff that that happened during this episode. All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Broadcast. We're gonna send you out with that funky Ricky Ortiz theme. Peace.